Okay, so I think we're live. So, welcome to I think a first live on this channel. Actually, I've done a few live streams before, usually on different bits of equipment and stuff. But I thought this time I kind of do. It's kind of one of my usual kind of days in the studio where I'm kind of just coming up with some ideas, and I thought I put the cameras on so you kind of see what I do and kind of how I come up with ideas and stuff. So yeah, so today is all about writing ideas. So I'm going to be going through and just coming up with a whole load of ideas. I'm not actually going to be arranging them. I'm just, yeah, literally just coming up with some loops and coming up with some ideas. I don't want to spend too much time on them. So I'm probably going to stream for maybe a couple of hours, maybe. And in that amount of time, hopefully I can come up with maybe 2 or 3 ideas. As I say, it's just really quick things, kind of getting those ideas going. I can see actually already the chat is going. Let me have a look, see if I can find the chat somewhere. All right, so we got Show Me the Lights and Stefan there. Hi, how you doing? I hope you guys enjoy this. As I say, it's one of the first times I've done a proper live stream from the studio. As you can see, I've got my Ableton all ready to go. I've actually got a template. I'm using a template for the first time, and actually that's a video that's going to be coming later this week, so you'll be able to see on my channel a bit later this week how I actually made this template. That'll be the next video. So it's not quite as short as some of the quick tips that I've been doing. So is the audio working all right on this? I just want to check everybody's got the audio okay. It's quite hard because I've got the monitor here and it's all really delayed and it's all just strange. So I'm still getting used to it. And I've also got this new Rode mic, which I'm kind of just testing out at the moment. First time I've got this kind of mic in front of me. I thought it'd be kind of useful. So yeah. Right, so let's get into something. Who else? Let's just check the chat, actually. I want to check the chat, make sure we got some people in there. Oh, God. Hello, everybody. Ivan, Gary, Harry, Leon, everybody. Cool. Some great people in here. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Thank you. Right, so we got some people in there. We might as well just get going. So yeah, I have this template. Oh, by the way, this chair is proper squeaky. If anybody can find a studio chair that doesn't squeak after about a week, then let me know, because this one has started squeaking almost. I only bought it like a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, I get distracted too easily with this stuff, I tell you. So yeah, as I said today at the start of the stream, I'm going to be coming up with some ideas, just kind of going through and trying to come up with some really quick ideas. So this template is actually going to be really handy because it's the first time I'm working with a template, and I'm going to see how it works and whether I need to tweak it. So first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to head over to Splice, because I want to get some ideas. I kind of want to figure out what I'm going to do today. And usually the way I kind of get ideas is I usually kind of go for samples. I usually try and find samples, and that's usually how I kind of get my idea. I'm always sampling stuff. If you've watched any of my kind of videos before, a lot of it is kind of sample based. And while sometimes I will have like, I'll have some voice memos maybe where I've kind of hummed stuff. That's generally most of my stuff comes from finding cool samples. So I usually kind of head straight into somewhere like Splice. And I say Splice because even though I've got a massive sample collection, which is just huge. If I go back to Ableton, I'm sure if you've seen any of my videos, you'll see that my sample collection is just massive. And I've been collecting this for about 20 years almost. So there's just so much stuff within there. And sometimes it's a bit hard to kind of go through there and find stuff. It is really kind of difficult to kind of see through all those massive load of packs. So generally I always hit kind of places like Splice. I did a video a little while back about Splice versus Loop Cloud, so you can definitely check that out on my channel. But I found that Splice has just got, I don't know, it's just got better sounds on it for me. I really love the sounds on it. I think maybe because Sample Magic is on it. Anyway, that's generally why I try and hit Splice quite regularly. And usually I kind of go through some of the latest packs and I get inspiration from there. One of the things I kind of always suggest is when you're kind of looking through Splice, or at least the way I do it anyway, I'll go into categories that I'm not producing in. So I tend to go into like the hip hop category to kind of search for stuff for house music. Just because I love the kind of hip hop sounds and they work really nicely for the stuff that I do. So I'm always kind of going through the latest packs and seeing kind of what's available and seeing what kind of new stuff is within here. I saw this vocal pack recently. This is where we figure out whether the sound all works. Maybe not. It kind of popped up, that vocal pack kind of popped up, and I was like, oh, I might check that out. I tend to go through, and like pretty much most days, I kind of go through Splice and have a check out what's new. And I kind of just I heart stuff, so I like stuff. I kind of always put it on my like list. So I've got a whole load of packs within here that kind of just give me some inspiration. There's this great pack that came up recently called Fireplace. Yeah, it's really kind of cool. So it's got a load of hip hop kind of grooves and stuff, but if I jump into that pack, I bet there's something in there that's quite cool. I usually kind of go for like the piano kind of patches, maybe the piano kind of samples within here. Actually, let's have a look at the loops. The loops will give me more inspiration, I think. Let's have a listen to some of these. Oh. That is so cool. I'm going to download that. Yes, yes, yes. Love that. In fact, I'm not even going to go through any more of these. I'm going to start using that. Oh, let's go into the Splice app. I really kind of wish this Splice app worked better. I wish it worked a bit more like Loopmaster's Loop Cloud software. That's just awesome. Let me just check on this. Oh, everybody's still in there. Hi, everybody. How many people are tuned in, actually? 18 people. Nice. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you guys get something out of it. Feel free to ask any questions if you want to. I'm going to keep checking on here. And I think there's a way to do super chat or something like that. I'm kind of testing all these stuff out. It's the first time I've used live stream on YouTube for a while. So you can do super chat, whatever that is. I don't know. Maybe it's just better than normal chat. Who knows? So let's get this sample in now. I'm going to drag and drop this into here. Just too many windows, too many windows. Let me get rid of this. Let's Splice. Splice doesn't, when you're alt tabbing, Splice just doesn't show up, which is really, really annoying. I don't know why it stopped doing that. Let's drag and drop this into here somewhere. So as I say, I'm going to do a video on this whole, I've done the video, just need to go ahead and edit it. I've done a whole video on this new template that I've built. So there's a whole load of stuff within here already. I'll talk you through it quickly so you can kind of see. I've got a vinyl sample at the top here, which is just my vinyl kind of crackly kind of noise. It sits in the background. I've got my drums group, which inside it has my kick, which is just a simpler. So I've got my simpler within there. And a few bits on there already. Then inside that kind of drums group, I also have a tops group, which has a whole load of room for all my different kind of tops drums. People asked me about tops before. If you're not familiar with tops, tops are claps, hi-hats, any kind of percussion that is kind of doesn't have any bass in it. So it's on the line whether you'd put maybe toms in there. Sometimes toms are a bit too heavy. But generally, I would just class tops as everything drum related that isn't a kick, basically. That's kind of how I kind of categorize tops. Then I got a crash in there. I got a layer for my keys, my bass. When I did this video, and you'll probably learn about it all in the video. You'll be able to see it. I explain it properly. But I've kind of made this template with the fact that I'm not actually putting anything on here that's going to steer me in a certain direction. So I've not got any instruments loaded on here because I might change them with every single project. So this is really just setting up MIDI tracks and audio tracks ready for me to work, basically. So anyway, let's have a look at this piano and see what it sounds like at 124 BPM. That sounds terrible. Let's see if we can put a different algorithm on it. So that's not going to work. That's not going to work just warping like that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to slice it to a new MIDI track. Actually, let me make sure all the slices are okay. That's actually, so yeah, generally when I've got a hip hop loop like this, it will kind of come in like as a sample and it'll just be a bit crap when you're playing it back at 124 BPM. The original tempo is 86. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a whole load of warp markers in. And by the way, I'm sorry if you can't quite see this on the chat. Let me know if you can't quite see this, because I could zoom it a little bit more. If you just put the video full screen, hopefully you'll be able to see it then. So I'm going to put warp markers on all of these individual hits within here, just so I can then, I'm going to slice it to MIDI. And then playing it back that way will hopefully mean it's going to play back a whole lot nicer. So this is a bit kind of, yeah, it's a bit monotonous kind of doing this kind of thing. But I would do it by transients, but I don't know if you can see, but there's more transients in there than I want to use. So I don't want to cut it by that much. So I'm actually just kind of putting warp markers on the big notes, the things that I'm probably going to be sampling. That'll do. So I've got my loop within there. I'm going to right click and I'm going to slice to new MIDI track, do it by warp marker. Okay. So we got the original loop in here. Just sounds like crap. Let's hear how this one sounds. Actually, I bet it's warping everyone, isn't it? It is warping everyone. Why? I'm going to turn warping off. Oh no, why can't I right click on it? Oh, I used to be able to, there is a control somewhere within Ableton to, yeah, so there's copy value to siblings. If you click on that on any, I don't know if that's a script I've added to Ableton. I don't think it is, because I've upgraded to Ableton 10 since putting it in. But basically you can copy value to siblings, which basically copies the same thing that you set within one of these simpler to all of the different slices. But unfortunately I can't do it on warp. So I've got to go through every single one and turn off warp. How annoying is that? Basically, so by turning off warp means it's not going to stretch it out, and hopefully it'll just play it back nicely in real time. It'll sound a bit more cut up, but it should just play back better. Talk amongst yourself whilst I just do this. Can't stand these tasks. Sometimes got some chat going on. Everybody's quite quiet in the chat. If you want to ask any questions, feel free. Happy to answer them. I think at some point what we will do on these live streams, I might do like a Q&A if anybody's interested. If they want to if you want to ask any questions or even send tracks or whatever, send me tracks and we'll go through and maybe get some suggestions and stuff maybe. Right, let's hear how that sounds now. Oh yeah. Sounds so much better. So this is the original. It sounds so much better. You can hear that kind of blah, 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 blah. It sounds so much better when you've sliced it. Oh yeah. Let's start off with that. I really love that. I might move the keys around in a minute. I'm going to get rid of that for now. I'm not going through and I'm not going to put any EQ on it for the moment. Actually, no, I will. I'll put some EQ on it. Let's put an EQ8 on it. Chop a little bit of the bottom end out. I'll go through and properly do it later. And let's get a kick in there so we can hear something in the background. Jump to my kicks collection. Let's have a listen to some of these. Oh yeah. I've been collecting my kick collection for quite a while now, so I don't even know where most of these samples are from. I'm guessing probably Splice or maybe some of the sample packs I've downloaded. Let's cut it off there, so let's get rid of the snap. Oh, we're still soloed, that's why. Sounding good. I've got some problem with my speaker at the moment. You're not going to hear it on the live stream, hopefully, but that speaker over there, I think it's something to do with the big knob, the Mackie big knob that I've got. I think some of the outputs just there's something gone in one of the connections anyway. So yeah, I need to get that fixed at some point. I tried replacing the lead, did nothing. So it's definitely the big knob. So I need to get that sorted. I think there was a question actually. Has the question come in? Yeah, so Kevin asked, do you use any hardware synths? I do have the Toraz, Pioneer Toraz AS1, just sitting here. It's turned off at the moment because, to be honest, I'm just trying to turn off as much in this studio as possible so it doesn't give off so much heat. By the end of this live stream, I'll just be sweating away because this is a tiny room and yeah, it's just going to be so hot in here. But no, the AS1 I do love, and I'm trying to use that a little bit more. I've been going mainly through the preset patches on there and kind of trying those out and using those and tweaking them. But I've been doing it kind of a bad way. I've just kind of been playing stuff out of that into Ableton and then just doing a whole load of tweaks on there. And what I really need to do is I need to get the controller software to really kind of work with that and see how that works, because it's a brilliant synth, and for the money, the quality that comes out of it is so nice. It's a mono synth, so it's mainly kind of bass lines and stuff like that, but it's just so warm and nice. I did a video on it a while back where I did this kind of Stranger Things kind of inspired music anyway. That was more of an experiment, a fun thing for Halloween. But I love that synth. That synth is cool. And I had the Roland TR8S, the drum machine, but I just didn't find myself using it. I like to work so quick within stuff. So I found myself actually just selling off most of my hardware stuff because it's just so much easier just to go into get a soft synth up and just use that. I don't know, but I do have the Yamaha Reface CP. So this, if we can get the camera to focus, it's focusing on my face. There we go. So yeah, the Yamaha Reface CP. This is a tiny little keyboard. It doesn't cost very much at all, although I struggled to get hold of it when I wanted it. I wanted to do some live stuff. So if you haven't seen any of my other videos where I kind of do some live stuff, I've been kind of working with Pioneer and using the DJS 1000, their kind of sampler to use in DJ sets. And I was going to trigger that synth with it. So I wanted a really kind of small Rhodes piano that wasn't going to cost $3,000 and wasn't, was going to be easy to carry on the road. That's battery powered and it's tiny and it kind of produces a nice sound. I think it was $150 maybe. I can't remember how much I paid for it. But the sound that comes out of it is pretty good considering how cheap it is. So yeah, I'm going to do a video actually soon. I've got it planned on my notes on my phone that I'm going to do a video of all the hardware that I've bought, all the hardware that I've kept, and all the hardware that I've sold, basically, because I think this question came up a little while ago, was does buying stuff actually kind of make you any better? And I don't think it does. I think it's you kind of need to buy it to kind of see whether it works for you, but so many times I just sell stuff. So yeah. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. Yes, in short answer, is I do use the AS1. I'm trying to use it a little bit more. What else have we got? Sorry, scrolling through, trying to find these questions. Kevin's asked again, how do you convert them to Ableton and how do you reduce latency? Latency is pretty good, actually. I've got an RME Fireface 400 sound card, which I would show you, but it's actually mounted to the underside of my desk, so I can't really do that so much. In fact, I do have another camera. There you go. No, you still can't see it in that camera, actually. It's literally under the desk just here. So it's, yeah, you can't really see it there. That's a brilliant sound card. It's old. It really is old. It's a Firewire connection. So I've actually got a converter to get it into my MacBook, but it works well. The latency is pretty good. And generally, as long as I haven't got a load of tracks going on, or if I need to freeze them or bounce them down just to make sure that I can get that lower latency to kind of get it in first. So I wouldn't still have this live and be playing MIDI through this when the whole track's done. I would have bounced it way before then. So it's more a case of just trying to get that part done first so that you can then bounce that down and start mixing everything else. So yeah, that's how I do it. How do I use the Ableton? I guess it's the Ableton push. Gary's asked, how do I use the Ableton push? I'm not actually using the Ableton push. If you notice, you probably can't, I don't know if you can see it. This is actually the Pioneer, actually got it turned off at the moment. This is the Pioneer Squid. So this isn't actually, yeah, I kind of I work quite a bit with Pioneer, and this when they announced this, I was just like, yes, this is so awesome. If you've not seen this, I did a video of it on my channel. I did a video kind of covering using it to play hardware synths and stuff, but it is a USB controller as well, and it's just fantastic for doing melodies and stuff like that. It works so well. So yeah, push 2 is something I thought about, but I'm not. But yeah, I don't know. I had to push version 1, but I didn't find myself using it that much. I know people love the push 2, just haven't got around to doing it, and I don't have that much space in here. So whilst I'm still using the Squid, I don't think I need the push at the moment. I'll answer one more question because I know there's some people that are watching that probably don't want to. I don't know. They want to kind of see some stuff. So I'll answer another question and then we'll move on maybe. Do I have a sub for the KRKs? I did have a sub. There was a sub underneath my desk for the KRKs. I realised that I was turning it off most of the time, so I don't really need it. It's a really small room that I've got here, really kind of tiny studio that I've got. I didn't really want to. I've got bigger rooms in my house that I could use, but I know the sound in here so well now that I just kind of keep it as it is. So the KRKs are fine, and I always kind of say when you're kind of making tracks and you've got different speakers and things like that, just get to know your speakers and how a good track sounds through them, and then you can kind of match your tracks to that. So I've got experience of knowing how the KRKs sound, and when I need to, I kind of know what level I need my bass at to make them punch through on the KRKs, so I know what they sound like in a club, and that's just through experience of using them again and again and again. So yeah. Video sometimes on how I connect all my USB connections. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I might do a whole studio video actually to kind of show how everything's connected, but to be honest, most of it is just most of it's in the box, but I do have a whole load of USB things going on. I've got the Electron analog heat over there as well, but that's not actually connected by a USB because the nightmare that I had through that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I just don't like using it through USB. It can be used as an audio interface and everything done through there, but I literally run analog out of my. I run an output out of my sound card into there and then back out through there into the sound card again because it just gives me a better result. So, so yeah, let me move on. Oh yeah, so no, I've not used push 2. I've not. As I say, I haven't tried it yet. It's not one of those things. I say I've sold the push 1, so I haven't thought about the push 2 just yet. So whilst I'm using the Squid, I'll probably just not for now. What was the original tempo of the keys? Oh, so we're getting back onto this track. That's cool. The original tempo of the keys was 86 BPM. So you normally drop the tempo down to 8. Complex Pro, speed them up. Okay, yeah. I mean that's quite a cool way. So yeah, yeah, I like that. So yeah, so you turn the tempo down and then put it into Complex Pro, speed up the tempo. Yeah, that kind of works. As I say, it's everybody's got their own way of doing it. It's quite funny that sorry, I realised I was reading the things off the screen. I wasn't showing you. I got to get used to this live stream thing. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their own way of producing, and I think because there is no set path to producing, there are courses that you can take, obviously, and you can learn producing, but a lot of people just learn through playing around, which is why I've got a different way to everybody else of doing it, and everybody else has got a different way to me. So I don't think there's any bad way of doing things. It's just, it's just the way that you do stuff, and as long as you kind of achieve the result that you want to, then that's the main thing. So let's get back into this anyway. So we got what we got. We got kick and keys in here now, I think. And in fact, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put a bit of groove to this because oh god, selecting everything here. I'm going to quantize these slices. Actually, let's quantize them to. Let's quantize them. Get them all on the grid. now going to put a groove on it so we can actually start now, because the pianos, I've put them on quantized so they're all playing quite straight, but now I can put a groove on them which will match it with the rest of the track then. Let's try 64 maybe. I kind of wish they'd changed that kind of clicking noise. It's so annoying. Let's do a 64. I don't know if it's made much of a difference. Not quite on the grid. Ooh, no. Gotta be careful with that. I think there's 2 notes within that slice there. I'm gonna revert that, just undo that because it was sounding better before. Anyway, spending too much time on that. This is what I'm saying. I usually kind of, when I do these ideas, I try and work through it as quickly as possible, because you start tweaking things like that and you're instantly kind of just stuck on the piano, and I kind of want to move on from there. So next up, I'm going to jump in and get some tops loops. So I tend to work with tops loops because I like kind of hearing. Oh, sorry, I knew this was going to happen. There you go. Sorry. I bet you're all screaming at me, like, because I've got to put it onto the actual screen. Is everybody in it? Actually, are we still live? I think we're still live, aren't we? Everybody's gone quiet in the chat. Has everybody gone? Oh no, still people there. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting. This is a kind of new thing to get a live stream on here, and I've been testing this setup for a little bit just to make sure it's right. Anyway, you didn't see any of that, did you? Sorry. Right, so yeah, so anyway, I'm going to put some tops loops into this, get a groove going. Ooh, that's a really nice little loop. That goes quite nicely with it. I don't quite know what vibe I'm going for with this, to be honest. Simple, just a simple hi-hat there. As I say, I'm using these top loops, and I think because most of the time when I use top loops, I'm kind of listening out for a certain sound. So if that tops loop has a clap in it, hi-hat in it, some percussion in it, I might just be listening to that top loop and think, okay, I like that hat from that. So I literally kind of, I'm almost kind of, my brain's kind of just getting rid of everything else, and it's just thinking, right, I want that hat out of that, and I'll cut it up. Luckily with this loop, actually, it's just the hat, so that will work quite nicely. Got a little kind of cheeky little skip in there somewhere as well. Luckily, it doesn't feel like it's out of time or out of swing, so that kind of works quite nicely. I think now I need a clap of some sort, so let's see if we can find a clap. Again, I could just put one in as a one hit, but I tend to just listen to top loops. I find it so much easier. Tell you what, that loop kind of turns it into more of a tech housey kind of track, but yeah, I don't want to go down that route. want it shorter than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that tops loop on there, double click into it, and I just want that clap. So I'm just going to make it really kind of edit it down. I've just got the clap. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a volume envelope on it. So I'm just soloing literally that clap. Don't want any of the hi-hats within that. And I'm actually going to make it so much shorter now. I'm going to really kind of tighten it up. I really like that. That's sounding quite nice now. Just really simple. Sometimes I kind of wonder whether I kind of spoil stuff by putting too much stuff on it, but I could just have a nice little loop like that going. This is definitely turning into more of a kind of relaxed, kind of chilled vibe. I could probably beef it up a bit with maybe some kind of tough bass or something, perhaps. So I've got a keys track here, and seen as actually no, I might actually put some more keys over the top of this maybe. Maybe I could jam out some stuff over the top of it. I don't play keys, but I can kind of do enough to kind of play around. Leave that for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this LFO tool. So the LFO tool, if you've not used it before, just copying it onto this keys track, is basically a shaper. So it's a sidechain tool, however you want to call it. It's a shaper basically. And I tend to use this all the time. I've been using it for years. And the reason I kind of use this over compression most of the time, so rather than using a compressor to the sidechain, I like using this because one, I can kind of really focus in on exactly how I am actually shaping it, so I can take it down to exactly how much I want it to, and I can kind of bring it in exactly how I want it to. I'm shaping the sound, and it's just a visual thing for me. And also with compression, you are actually adding compression to it. With this, you're just simply automating the volume, which is kind of sometimes nice to not actually be doing any kind of compression or kind of altering the sound in any way. You're just using the volume, and I kind of like doing that. So it's not a bad way. You can just use sidechain compression. I'm not saying you have to do this, but this is just the way that I usually do it. And the LFO tool is just so easy. There's loads of other ones that have come out since, obviously. Shaperbox, I think, is one that some people keep telling me to get. But to be honest, I've been using this so much longer. I just kind of, it does the job. So I don't really need to change it at the moment. So I'm going to put this on my keys, but just to a really kind of subtle amount, because I want to duck them just a little bit on the kick, just so that it feels like it's part of the beat. And that's kind of a little trick, cheat kind of thing that I usually do. So that's what it's like without. And then I'll kind of gradually reduce it until we got a bit of a pumping going on, but not too much. A subtle amount. Those keys are just so nice. They're really kind of cool. In fact, let's play around with it. Actually, I'm going to play around with it. I should really be kind of focusing more on other stuff. This is how easily I get sidetracked. I might try to see if we can play around with these notes. See if we can play some interesting stuff. Release on that first one. Oh. So I could chop it up a little bit like that. It's an idea. I don't know whether that's going to work. It might work well, like say for example, when yeah. Yeah, so maybe I can use the full slices on the breakdown perhaps. This is where I'm kind of coming, so I'm coming up with some ideas here, trying to figure out what I could do with this track, but I'm not actually going to arrange it at the moment. So I'm just kind of coming up with some ideas of how I can kind of manipulate this. Yeah, so maybe make it a little bit more stabby so we got a bit more movement in the actual main part of the track. So that might work. So I've got the keys in there now. I don't want to put too much more percussion in here at the moment. I think I might move on to the bass. So I already know that this is in A flat minor. So what's that? I always have to I always work with sharps, so I always have to kind of think of what that actually is. Sorry, I was kind of flicking over to the chat. I thought I'd answer some questions actually. That's how easily I get sidetracked. How should I organize my learning process? I'm a beginner, like house, so I thought learn drums before. All right, so learning production. This is where I'm going to do a bit of a plug. So I have just recently, if I don't know if you're a DJ as well. Sorry, Tube. Is that how you pronounce your name? Sorry. Yeah, you just asked how I can start learning to produce. To be honest, I started learning to produce many years ago. I've been producing for about 20 years, I want to say. I've been in Ableton probably for the last 7 years in Ableton. And to be honest, I learned music production through just playing around. Because kind of that was when I first started producing, there was no YouTube, there was no way to kind of learn and stuff. So I just kind of got the software and started playing around, and that was kind of a cool way of doing it. But I was DJing at the time, so rather than making tracks, I wasn't focused on making tracks. I was focused on making stuff for my DJ sets. So I was kind of I was thinking, well, I just want to make an edit. So I've got this track here and I really like it, but it doesn't fit in with my DJ set. So I want to make an edit to then play out. So I started making edits, and then from edits, I then moved on to making mashups where I was putting an a cappella with an instrumental. And then I started making these kind of bootlegs where I was kind of adding some original stuff within it. And before I knew it, I was kind of creating my own tracks without even thinking about it. I was kind of creating my bootlegs, my remixes became more original parts than like the original more stuff of my own than it was of the original track that I was remixing. So it became more of I was actually producing my own tracks. So recently I've just recorded, well, I recorded it actually late last year and it got launched in December. I've just launched a course specifically targeted at people that want to learn how to produce that are DJs. So if you've never produced before, if you want to learn how to produce and you want to learn how to produce stuff for your DJ set especially, then this course is great, because basically with this course I only teach you the stuff that you need to know, rather than actually these courses really kind of plunge you into stuff like you were saying, like you didn't know whether to focus on drums and bass and stuff like that. That's how most production courses kind of focus on. They kind of work through bit by bit. However, with my course, I wanted to kind of focus on making stuff. So like in the first chapter, it's all about taking an original track that you've downloaded, one that you'd have for your sets, and I kind of just show you how you can extend it. So you can have an extended mix. So say you've got a radio edit of a track that isn't long enough to play in your DJ sets, I show you how to extend it. It's really simple. As a production thing, it's really simple to do. But just learning those simple skills within Ableton then allow you to then move on a little bit further. And then I've got like a chapter on making a mashup and a chapter on making a transition track. And then finally, the last chapter is making a remix. And that's like, by the time you get to there, this remix is like 60-70% of your own work. So it's kind of like a fast track of how I learned how to produce. I kind of I literally just was learning to produce through making stuff for my DJ sets. So it's kind of going through all that. So if you want to see that course, I've actually put it's actually in the description below, in the not in the comments, in the description of the video. So if you check out the link to that, as I say, it's on Udemy. I'm so dead proud of the course because I only launched it in December, and it's actually now the highest rated music production course on Udemy. So yeah, so happy about that. So if you want to check that out, yeah, definitely click on the links in the description and see yeah, see what you think. Right, so yeah, so let's get back into this. We've got the keys here, and this is in A flat minor. So that would be, hang on, C, D, E. That's a G sharp. I think that's G sharp, isn't it? So I'm going to put the bass in G sharp. Yeah, G sharp. So yeah, on this bass track that I've got, as I say, in this template, I've got it set up. So I've got my scale plugin on here, which is the C minor preset, but then I can change the bass of it to G sharp. So I'm now, whatever notes I play within this are going to be within G sharp. And the reason I do that is because I can't really play the, sorry, on the thing. I can't really play a keyboard or anything else like that. So I have, I use the scale plugin where I put the bass as G sharp, and then it'll obviously keep within the scale of G sharp, well, G sharp minor anyway. And that's what we're going to be working in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to just kind of jam out on this. I think I've got the squid connected. Just going to, let me see if I can get this working. We have something. Oh, because there's no instrument on there. Of course there's no instrument. Right, so what bass instrument am I going to use? So I do get asked this quite a bit as to what bass instruments I use, and I go between a whole load of different things. I tend to jump between the Ableton ones are actually really good. If you really kind of look through the Ableton instruments, some of them are really great, and some of them I've used on many of my tracks. Also, I'm a big fan of the bass engine. This is one that was kind of it's kind of made for kind of hip hop kind of sounds. Most of the kind of bass patches within it are kind of hip hop trap kind of stylish, and this kind of works well for my kind of grungy, dirty house kind of stuff. But recently, I actually have been using the what was it? Oh, the Tau Uno LX. So I might actually jump onto that and use that. So let's have a look at the presets. I think there's some nice bass presets in here. Take that down. In fact, I'm just going to turn. So I've got the I have got the squid here. You're not going to be able to see actually on this camera, but I'm going to put it into. I can play a scale on this, which I've got to remember how I do it now. So we're in G sharp, aren't we? So I'm going to put it in G sharp, and I'm going to put it on the minor scale. So I actually just, it's kind of low. You can't really see it here because it's, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of lighting up the notes anyway. It's kind of a pointless camera, that, isn't it? Should really kind of work on that. I'll get a better camera soon. So yeah, I can actually play the actual, the G sharp. We're in G sharp. Yeah, G sharp notes within here. Let's just, I'm going to jam away and see what I can come up with, really. And this is, I kind of just go by feel most of the time. I tend to just use this to kind of just jam some stuff in, and usually I probably use a few more notes than that, but that might do the job. I think that take probably works best. Let's just loop that up. going on here? That bass is going to work today, so I'm going to try a different one. Let's try the bass engine. This is actually a sampled one, so this has got like a whole load of stuff within here. Look at all those. There's just so many presets in here. Sometimes it really it gets you down, doesn't it, when you're looking through presets and you lose objectivity trying to figure out which one you want. This is where I kind of usually lose the will to live when it comes to making a track, because I can't figure out which one. And I can't even remember which ones I use mostly. Well, that's quite nice. Yeah, side chains. I've already got the side chain on here, the LFO on here. Kind of bumping that the volume up of that, so I might actually put a utility on. Actually, no, compressor. Weirdly, after talking about that, I actually want to put a compressor on here now, just to kind of really mangle it a little bit. Oh. Okay, I'm starting to get some ideas now. I think that sounds pretty good. I don't want to spend too much time trying to figure out what sound I want with it. I'm not even sure that pattern is quite good. It sounds good, but I don't think that's going to kind of really form itself into a track. I'm going to start playing around with it now and actually completely ruin it. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this MIDI clip across. So just in case I want to come back to it a bit later or refer to it a bit later, I'm just going to start playing around. And this is where I kind of just spend loads of time just playing around with the notes, just seeing what I can come up with. That's quite nice, actually. That's sounding better. This is turning into, I think this idea is starting to take shape. I don't know where I'm going with it though, but sometimes that's kind of cool. Like, I think if you worry too much about necessarily fitting in with a certain sound or whatever else like that, it really kind of stunts your creativity. And sometimes I just like to kind of play around and, see where an idea takes me. And like, I mean, what we've been streaming for 50 minutes now, So I've only been doing this idea for about 50 minutes. I think now I'm actually going to get some, maybe a vocal in here or something like that, just to kind of start tying it together, maybe some more drums. Just spend another 15 minutes just whacking some stuff in here and seeing where it kind of takes me. And then I'm just going to save it and be done with it and then move on to the next idea, because then I'll come back to it another day when I kind of maybe have some ideas of where to go with it. I can't remember. I was talking to somebody about this. It might have been, I think it might have been via the comments on my course, because I kind of help some of the students out there, and then when they're asking me questions. But one of the things that I kind of learnt from the Ableton book, has anybody bought the Ableton book? It's so good. Oh God. It's this one, the Making Music, 74 Creative Strategies for Electronic Music Producers. I honestly can't recommend this book highly enough. It's such a cool book. It's made by Ableton, and it's by Dennis DeSantis. It's so good. And I can't even. I've been quoting it so many times because, well, it's actually a quote that they mentioned in there. But it's all about writing. What's it? Writing sober. No. I'm trying to remember what the quote is now. I'm not even going to bother embarrassing myself by trying to remember it. Anyway, what generally I do is I'll spend one day actually kind of coming up with stuff, trying to figuring out, some ideas, being creative and coming up with ideas. And then another complete day, I'll then do the arrangement and stuff for those ideas. Because if I take an idea and then take it all the way, I tend to get bored, like maybe 70% of the way into it, and I can't see that kind of arrangement properly. Or maybe you might do an idea and you spend 8 hours on it, and then suddenly realize the next day that idea is just trash, it's not right, and you spent so much time on it. Which is why I kind of come up with these ideas, and then they're sitting on my hard drive, and then I'll go through another day and kind of say, right, that one's worth pursuing, that one's not. Just because you get in a vibe when you're making a track, and you can just think it's the best thing in the world, and the next day you just think it's absolute trash. So that's why, yeah, I'm just going to try and keep this really quickly to just make this. Actually, let's flick over to the chat just to make sure everybody's okay. Oh God, loads of messages. Oh yeah, so Leon. So Leon is he's done the course. He actually sorry, I'll put it back over to the screen so you can see. Leon is one of the people who took the course, and yeah, I'm glad that you've really enjoyed it, because I've had so much great feedback from the people on it. What else we got? See, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are kind of echoing it, like a lot of people are echoing the fact that you get bored of like making a track, and like you get so far into it. It's like going down a rabbit hole, and you kind of realize that, you spent so much time on a crap idea. So that's why, I always suggest like going through and just coming up with as many ideas as you want. Make a Dirty Secrets track using only basic Ableton plugins. Oh, that sounds like a challenge. That does sound like a challenge. I quite like the idea of that, actually, making a track with just default Ableton sounds. To be honest, if you come to my channel and you don't know too much about me, I've actually done a whole load of tutorials for Sonic Academy. I think I've done 6 for them now. And most of those are all about using standard Ableton plugins. I do use their Anasynth as well, because they like me to use the Anasynth when I'm doing those courses. But generally with the Anasynth, the Anasynth has got some amazing sounds that come out of it. But for the most part, those courses that I do are pretty much all stock plugins. But I do like the challenge, and that's something I think I will try and do on this course. See if I can actually make a Dirty Secrets track. I want to go through and actually I want to try and okay, I'm sorry about that. I think it stopped for a minute. Hey, sorry about that. I don't know. I've got the I've got my the setup. It took me ages to kind of work out the setup for all this. That's why I've been kind of thinking. I did the quick tips in January, and all throughout the rest of January, I was kind of thinking, well, how do I do this whole live setup? The same thing that I do for all my tips and stuff like that. How do I do that as a live stream? So I've got my computer off to the side here, which is running everything, and I thought it was running just fine, but for some reason it decided it wanted to shut off. I don't know whether it's got a timer on, because that was almost an hour. Decided to shut off, but at least it's back, which is good. There we go. Anyway, we're back. Right, okay. Have I lost a lot of streamers? So 20 people still tuned in. That's quite cool. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I hope you're getting something from it. Anyway, let's get in and do some more stuff with this track. Vocals in there. I want to get some vocals. I always get inspired by having some vocals. Again, I could go through my I could go through my sample collection, but I just love the fact that I can go through Splice and search by key. It's one of my favorite things. Like back in the day, I would have got so much more done if I could have actually looked through by key, my samples by key. I know there's a few things you can get for your sample collection for your plugins and stuff like that you can go through, and it'll actually index your samples that you got on your hard drive and go through and label the keys and stuff like that. But I've never kind of got really into that. Yeah, I should really get into that because I've got a massive sample collection. It'd probably be a good idea. But yeah, I just love going through Splice. What are all these? These are just random one shots. Anyway, key. So I'm going to search by key, and it is what was it? A flat, wasn't it? Yeah, A flat. See if there's anything in here. Usually, I kind of I think in one of my latest videos, one of my latest tip videos, I did it. I did say that like searching by recent is probably a really good idea because hopefully a lot of people wouldn't have used these. Baby, tú sabes lo que quiero, lo que yo me voy. Let's get it playing in the background so I can kind of hear both, because I think that's usually the way I usually do it. I kind of just jam stuff out over the top. That's quite nice, actually. I just kind of jam these things over the top of it and see how they sound. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through, maybe download a few things. I've set it up so that my microphone mutes every time I'm playing something. So you'll probably see me just jabbering away on the mic and not being able to hear anything I'm saying. It's because I've forgotten, basically. I've got the memory of a goldfish. So I'm going to go through and download a few more of these, just audition them and see what sounds good. So I think I've got a couple of within there, but what I'm also going to do is I'm going to search by maybe 3 semitones up, because then I'll be able to take that vocal sample and pitch it down 3 semitones. So 1, 2, 3. Actually, I haven't put it in minor. Probably should put it in minor. That'd be a good idea. Wow, that's quite cool. Drunken Kong. That might be a good little sample pack. I'm gonna, if you find anything on Splice, definitely heart it, because it's just, yeah, it's a great way to come back to stuff later. I almost kind of have my likes within within Splice as a way of almost like a pool of stuff that I can come back to a bit later, and yeah, it's very cool. Um,
Why?
Damn, that sample pack's cool. You're definitely going to have to check that back a bit later.
Babe, you was so much in love, baby. Ooh, yeah. Let us retract on the pound when we were so much in love, baby.
Oh, see, this sounds. I don't know if this sounds great, but it might sound cool when it's like pitched down and cut up. I don't know. There's some. When I'm going, I think when you're in the studio with anybody and they're kind of playing stuff and they're like, oh yeah, I like that, and you're like, why do you like that? It's personal taste. It's something that just kind of sticks out. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go for that. Sometimes I actually download samples and kind of just almost challenge myself to kind of do something with it. Like I'll kind of be looking at a sample and think, well, that sounds a bit crap. Can I make it good? Can I actually make something from it? It almost feels like it's like you're determined to do something. And I won't actually say which track it is, but there's a track that I actually released where I took the worst vocal in the world. It was so bad. I pitched it down and it sounded really cool afterwards. So it almost kind of makes me smile when I kind of play that track out, or when somebody hears that track and I just realize that, well, I got that sample from like a really terrible place, and it was just such a bad sample to start with. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I've downloaded a couple of samples there that are actually 3 semitones up. So I might be able to pitch those down and see how they sound. So I'll go back to Ableton. Let's check in on here. What's going on? Splice. Yeah, Splice is. I tell you what, Splice is such a bargain. I love it. I mean, you can see here. I'm on what I think. Yeah, I think there's only one membership thing, which is like $7.99 or something like that a month. I've got 680 credits here because you only spend 1 credit on 1 sample, and I find it very hard to go through my credits. And if I'm just like topping it up and finding the odd bit here and there, it's really just great to go through. If you want to help, if you want to join Splice, I've got a link down in the description below. I think if you use that link, I think you get extra samples or something like that. I get some extra samples and you get some extra samples. So the link's in the description if you want to see that. Can everyone upload into Splice, or are there certified sound makers with quality sampling? Yeah, so I've actually talked to Splice quite a bit, and there is going to be a sample pack that I've been working on, which should be hitting Splice sometime this year. I'm not quite sure when. But to answer your question, you can approach Splice and kind of you can like apply to be somebody that can supply samples. It's up to you. You can try with that. They're really nice guys over there. But you might want to actually just approach a company that makes samples. So say, for example, Sample Magic supply samples to Splice. So you might want to, you could always, go over to them and see, if you could do a sample back for them. And then all the hard work of kind of getting it all prepared and sent over to Splice is just all taken care of. But yeah, if you're interested in doing it, it's a great way of earning a bit of extra money. I've got a video coming up soon on my channel where I kind of talk about some extra ways that producers can make money, and definitely sample packs are one of those, so definitely try that out. Any other questions? I think that's all the questions on there, actually. One thing I will mention while I'm still on here, the plugins part of Splice is fantastic. They have rent to own plugins on there. So if you've looked at any plugins before and thought, well, they're a bit too expensive, I don't want to pay for them outright. You can actually go to Splice, and they've got a whole load of synths and plugins and things like that on here that you can pay monthly for. And when you don't want to pay for it anymore, so say maybe you've been using it for a month and you don't want it anymore, you can pause that and not pay for it anymore. But if you do continue to pay for it, you're renting to own, so you will actually own that at some point. It's not like a subscription thing. You will actually own that plugin at some point. So yeah, it's a great way of doing it, and I kind of wish this came along a lot sooner, because there's so many plugins that you do want to give a full trial on. You want to kind of really try it, and sometimes the trials just don't work, or they're really limiting. You want to kind of see how it sounds within one of your tracks without having those watermarks and things like that. Definitely a great thing. By the way, I'm not getting paid by Splice to say this. I'm just saying this because it's just a great service, and I'm kind of passionate about some people that are doing great stuff. So that's why I tend to try and highlight that on my channel. Right, let's get these samples in here and see how they sound. Actually, I'm gonna get this one in here first. I've got all these channels here, all these drum channels. I'm just gonna make these a little bit smaller so we can see everything a bit better. I've got the 909 there, and I'm not going to use that, I don't think. I use the 909 from Ableton, from the drum racks within Ableton. I think it's the classic 909 or something. Sounds good to me. I think if anybody's listening to it, I think they're going to struggle to kind of really, really, really hear the difference. I mean, you will do. You get your audio file to your producers that probably will do, but the general public, if you're playing a track in a club, you're not going to notice whether it's a real 909 or if you've done it from a sample. So. That really kind of works nicely, just as a background texture. I'm going to put that within there. Put an EQ8 on it. Bit of reverb as well. People are going to tell me off because I'm putting reverb on the actual channel, but it's the way I like doing it. So, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to put an LFO on there as well because it will just kind of merge it in with the rest of the track. And in fact, I'm going to put the auto pan on as well, make it go from left to right just a little bit. Oh, I've got my doorbell. Sorry about this. I actually have somebody's come to the door and I've got delivery, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, it's one of the things of working from home. There's always deliveries coming in and things like that. So, and now I'm out of breath from running up and down the stairs. So, you guys still all in the chat? Sorry. Are you always keeping it simple when making a track? Yes, I truly, truly believe in keeping it simple when I'm making a track because I think it's. I think if you think about things too much, you get in your own head about it, and you kind of, you never get anything done. And the more you think about a track, the less it becomes creative, the less you're kind of feeling it. You're kind of just going through the motions of making something. So I tend to like staying in that creative space where I'm not putting too much effort into it. I'm not kind of really tweaking things. I'm not really going majorly in on it. one of the beauties of using samples, and certainly samples and sample-based instruments and things like that, they're all made so well now that like sometimes you just don't need EQ or very little EQ, and sometimes things just work and you don't need to worry about putting 100 plugins on there just to make it work, because it already does. So yeah, right, back to it. I'm so out of breath. I'm really unfit. I need to go to the gym more. I need to spend less time in the studio and more time in the gym. Let's get. I bet I've lost a whole load of people. I got 15 people still on. You're all still okay there. I like checking in just to make sure everybody's okay. Hopefully you're learning stuff. So I'm going to keep doing these as well, because it's quite easy for me to do. Well, once I got it all set up and it's not causing bugs and stuff like that, then yeah, I don't mind doing these streams at all. As I say, I'll come back and answer some questions in a minute if you want. Keep on with this stream. Keep on with this idea. I'm going to spend another 10 minutes on this track. So it's 1:10 in the UK now. So another 10 minutes, and then we'll get back. I'll do another idea. Got the auto pan on there just to kind of make it go a bit from left to right. I think it's going to work quite nicely. Next up, try another vocal. Got another vocal in here. I'm putting a whole load of vocals in at the moment, but I'm just really kind of seeing what works. It's just exactly the same thing again.
Let's take it back to
it's a really bad vocal, but I'm wondering whether I can just take a bit out of it. So let's say this is up 3 semitones. So I was deliberately searching for a track, for a vocal that was up 3 semitones, so that I can then take it down 3 semitones.
Let's take it back to a time when we were so much in love. Take it back. Let's take it back to.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Let's take it back to a time when we were so much in love. Take it back.
I'm going to really move that around a bit, actually, I think. Ooh. Yeah, I think I've got something here. I'm basically kind of moving this vocal sample around, kind of rephrasing it. Doing it really roughly at the moment, just so I can kind of get a vibe going. One of my favorite things doing when I'm working with a vocal like this is just the way that you can audition like loops within loops. So I've got this kind of loop going within here. In fact, I'm going to smooth that off a bit because at the moment it's sounding a bit nah. There we go. It's going to sound a whole lot better now. Real clip in there. Actually, yeah, no, that's. So I'm just kind of moving this clip around, trying to get rid of that a real clipping sound. I'll put a little bit of a fade on here as well, because I'm chopping it right off. In fact, I think it's ending. Actually, it's ending. Oh, no, it's not. Let's put a fade on the end there. I'm really just kind of playing around with this really very, very roughly. As you can see, I'm just really roughly kind of playing around with this. And what I tend to do is, yeah, just do it really roughly so that I can come back. I'll come back to it a bit later and really kind of tidy it up. copy the LFO and the reverb again from the other vocal. And this bit just goes a bit weak at the end here. So I might just audition another bit within here. This is one of the greatest things about using this kind of loop tool within here. Kind of being able to shuffle things around. Quite right, but I'm getting an idea. I'm getting something within there, something that's kind of sparking something. I'll probably kind of tweak that a little bit. But when I was kind of listening to that online, I was kind of going through. Where's the window gone? Oh, I've lost. There it is. No. Oh, I've lost the search results. Yeah, I've lost the search results. It's somewhere within here. Oh, it's this one, isn't it?
Let's take it back to a time. Take it back to a time.
So I was already kind of hearing it from here that I had that back kind of thing, that back to a time. And that kind of just made me, yeah, I just realized there was some kind of hook within there. So yeah, that's kind of how I kind of would come up with my vocals. I say kind of searching for vocals 3 semitones up or maybe 5 semitones up and then pitching them down can really kind of give you that deep, darker feel without it feeling like people identifying that sample straight off. Like, because it's pitched down 3 semitones, you're not instantly going to recognize where that sample's from. You're probably going to hear it and you're going to be like, I'm sure I know it from somewhere, but because it's kind of altered, you got something different there. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to change that around later as the idea. But as I said I've got another couple of minutes on this, and I kind of want to put some more drums in there. I think I want to make it a little bit more kind of, I don't know, something a bit rawer. The little percussion elements in there. That little loop is kind of it's a UK garage loop. I'm going to get rid of the hat in it because I don't want the hat. I just want the percussion-y bits. So I'm going to drag and drop that onto here and loop it up and double click into here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the bits that I don't want. So I don't want the clap and the hat. I don't want the clap and the hats, I think. Silhouette. So I want to get rid of, doing it the wrong way. I want to get rid of that hat there. And I want to get rid of that clap. Now you'll see I'm doing it this way, but I'll explain why in a second. So I'm getting rid of that. And I'm getting rid of that. Now, you'll probably think, like, why didn't I just do it straight the way over there? Because I kind of want to leave these gaps here, because what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to copy this automation across. So I'm going to select this area here, and I'm going to copy this automation across, because I want to still get these kind of, these offbeat bits. So it's almost kind of like filler. I'm kind of getting rid of the bits that I don't, because I don't really want the hi-hats and the clap and stuff like that, but I want the other bits, the filler bits in between it. They're almost kind of, I don't even know if there's a word for that. I mean, it's percussion, but I don't know if there's a specific word for what kind of percussion that is. Like, what elements that are. My beats are kind of, you can hear it kind of very subtly in the background, but my beats are basically made up of bits like that. So I kind of take snippets of this kind of drum loop and snippets of this but drum loop, and just kind of use the little elements here and there, and it kind of gives me this kind of, there's this hybrid of, like, I guess house music. There's some deep house in there, some US house in there, some UK garage in there. There's some kind of tougher kind of classic house maybe. It's this kind of amalgamation of all these different kind of drum sounds and sounds from those genres, and just kind of pushing them all together, and that kind of makes my sound, I guess. In that, that's really nice. Just the hat, I don't want anything else. So we've got the hat there on its own. Don't want any of the skippy bits in it. That'll do. Let's really grunge up that vocal. I know I've spent more time on this than I need to. Gone over. That's been EQ on there. A bit of saturation. I'm going to put some saturation after the reverb, because I want to put saturation on the reverb. So kind of gives me that kind of, almost like I'm kind of creating something that I've sampled almost. So when you sample something from a record or whatever like that, the vocal will have some reverb on there, and by putting some saturation over the top of it, you're kind of, yeah, it's making it sound like it's a bit more kind of sampled, I guess. Let's take it back to time. Let's take it back to time. Let's take it back to time. Much in love to time. Let's take it back to time. Let's take it back to time. Let's take it back to time. Much in love to time. Let's take it back to time. Let's take it back to time. So yeah, I'm gonna call that a day for this one, because I'm spending more time on it than I want to. I think I'm going to just save that. And we've kind of got a vocal in there, so I'm just going to call it, what was it, Back to Time? Back to My Time? Let's take it back to a time. Take it back to a time. Call it Back to a Time. Back to a time. And that's now kind of, I'm actually going to do a collect and save on that just in case. And that's now an idea that's ready and saved on my hard drive. So, and then I'll come back to that another day, because I don't want to spend any more time on that, because I'm going to lose objectivity with it, because I'm going to be so vibing on it that I'll be like, oh yeah, let's make a whole production of it, let's arrange it and everything else like that. And I won't quite see it clearly enough. I won't quite see where I'm going with it, and I'll get lost and I'll get fed up with it and I'll go the wrong way with it. So I'll come back to this another day, and I'll probably be able to, I might switch out the bass, I might switch out the vocal, I might change things around, but I've got a vibe going now. It's a rough vibe, but I can come back to it a bit later and then kind of do it again. So yeah, that's that kind of idea saved, and then I'll just do a new set. Oh, no, didn't want to do that. What did I just do? Redo what? See, I had to keep pressing the wrong thing. Right, save that. Yeah, I'm going to do a new live set and load up my template again. There we go. I'm going to jump over to the chat, actually, see how everybody's doing. How is everybody doing? Have we still got people? Oh, still got 16 people watching, which is cool. Is the connection going all right? It seems to be all right, doesn't it, at the moment? Right, let's go for some questions. What have we got on? So, what else have we got here? I'll scroll up a little bit. Scroll down. So, what else have we got? So Femi's asked, when do I use Session View? I don't actually use Session View. I'm not a big fan of Session View. Sometimes, very odd occasions, I'll use it. But to be honest, a lot of my kind of stuff is working with audio. I tend to work with audio samples. And to be honest, I like the arrangement view because I can kind of see the audio samples within there and I can edit them the way I want to. Plus, I've been producing for about 20 years, and before Ableton, I was on Logic. Before Logic, I was on Sony Acid, which was originally called Sonic Foundry Acid, I think, something like that. And then before that, all the other ones. And pretty much every one of those had that kind of arrangement view. None of them had the session view. So I think that's probably why I don't actually kind of use session view. If I was coming to Ableton for the first time, maybe I would kind of have a look and use session view because it is kind of cool. It's good for kind of jamming stuff out and coming up with ideas. But it's just not, I don't think it's the way I work, really. There's been a couple of ideas that I've made in session view, but I don't know, it's not quite me. I think if you were using instruments and stuff and you were kind of playing around with MIDI instruments and recording things live and stuff like that, probably a really cool idea. But for me, I don't tend to use it that much. Show Me the Light said you should do more of these live streams. I'm definitely planning to. I'll try and do one. Well, when I'm in the studio, I'll try and do one once a week if I can. I want to try and turn them into maybe a workshop kind of thing. Now, I don't know if that's going to be useful. If anybody kind of wants to just kind of, punt a question out and I kind of answer it and show you how to do it or whatever. Because the live tips, the quick Ableton tips that I did in January, they seem to have gone down really well. And I think that's where a lot of my new subscribers have come from. And I really appreciate that. So, I mean, yeah, if I can kind of keep that kind of same kind of vibe, that same kind of, kind of answering questions and kind of giving you these kind of nuggets of information that hopefully will help you, then yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. But yeah, I'll do more of these live streams. And I think this one's turned into a bit more of a tutorial thing. But hopefully some of them I'll try and maybe talk a bit less and just produce a bit more, maybe. Don't know, see what works for you guys. I want to hear your feedback. Let me know what you think. What else have I got? What have we got? So Tube has said, what's your go-to producer for asking advice, ideas, sound production and stuff? So who do I ask for advice? I was trying to think, actually. I've got a whole load of friends that I've kind of like music production friends that I've known over the years that I always kind of bounce ideas off of. One of my best mates is Sonny Wharton. He's always been a great sounding board for me. As I do try and return the favor to him as well. We kind of send tracks back and forwards and things like that. A whole load of other people. I used to produce a lot with Will Clark as well. He's a great guy to kind of bounce stuff off of as well. He's it's amazing seeing where he's got to at the moment, which is really cool. I still chat to him every now and again, which is quite cool. But most of the time, to be honest, I kind of spend my time in the studio, kind of just working away on my own. I think maybe it's the artist in me. Kind of, I like to kind of just shut myself away and just see what I come up with, rather than actually kind of asking people for certain things. I think maybe if I was still like in the beginner phase, then I probably would ask as many people as you want and sit in with different people in different studio sessions. But I've kind of got to this stage where I'm kind of quite confident in like where I want to go with stuff. So I tend to just sit in here and see what I kind of come up with. Have I had anything pressed onto vinyl? I do actually have a vinyl release coming up. got to think of where that was though. I think it's actually, is it on Juno? It might be on Juno actually. It should be on most vinyl stores. It's on Rhythm People, I think. Yes, so it's Rhythm Vibes, and I've got a track called Once Again on there. I would play it on this stream. Actually, yeah, let's play it because it shouldn't. So yeah, that's a release I got coming up. That's called Once Again. That's on Rhythm Vibes. I've been dealing a lot with that label, and they're just Rhythm People. Yeah, it's actually it is Rhythm People, isn't it? It's Rhythm People label. It's a great label. I've been working with them quite a bit, and this is the first vinyl release I've had in quite a while. It's been a while since I've had a vinyl release. My first release on vinyl. Yeah, I think I did. My first ever release was a white label that I made with somebody else, and we literally put 2 tracks on it each. So we had 2 tracks on each side, and we kind of did that, which was really strange, and it worked. And it was a kind of fun experience. But I tell you what, I love the fact that we can do digital stuff now. And the fact we can actually even you don't even need a label now. You can actually just digitally release on your own. I've got a video coming up on that very, very soon, which I'll again, it's I've got so much stuff coming up this new year. In my phone, I use the Notes app all the time, and I've got so many different ideas for videos and stuff like that, which are all going to be coming up very soon. So tune in on Thursday where the next video is going to land, and that's how I made my new 2020 Ableton template. I'll go through all of that. So if you want to see how I made that. Collect and save. What is collect and save? Collect and save is if you it basically when you're doing a project and you go to collect and save, it will go to all the locations where you've stored all your samples. So if you pulled in a sample, an a cappella, whatever you've got, it will take all them from those folders and it will put it into the project folder, so that if you then move the project folder somewhere else, you put it on an external hard drive or you give it to a friend or whatever, they'll have all the samples in that folder. So you don't, even if you have all your samples on an external drive, for example, and you take that external drive out, you wouldn't be able to use your project because you wouldn't have those samples within there. But if you do collect and save, it will take all the samples from wherever you drag them in from, and it will save it to your project folder, which is really useful if you are kind of distributing it in that way. Another thing you can do actually, which I don't tend to do, but within the Splice app, and I swear to God, I'm not getting paid for this at all. You can use the Splice app to back up all your projects. So when you save a project, I've actually told it not to warn me or not to say about it, but you can actually sync any of the projects that you've done. So that project that I've just done just now, I can click yes. So yeah, I can literally back it up to Splice. So that project will now be on Splice. So it's actually in the cloud. It's kind of all backed up and ready to use. And you can also, if I click on open, does this open it up? No. Oh, this is opening it up in Ableton. Yeah, it's opening up in Ableton. If I go back to Splice, too many things open. Yeah, so I've got it on here, and if I go to, I can actually look at the project within here, and I can save different versions. So you can actually see this idea that I've just come up with is now on Splice, and you can actually start collaborations up with it this way as well. So you can actually invite people to work on this track with you. I've never actually done it because I've never actually I think I tried it once, but it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. But that was in the early days. But yeah, I've never kind of done that before. There's another bit of software that I'm actually trialing out at the moment, a bit of online software actually, where you can collaborate with somebody in real time making a track, which is really quite cool. So that's, again, another video coming really soon. So I think Femi asks, can you show how to chop up vocals? Have you done it on any of your tracks? Well, I mean, in the live stream that I just did now, I just chopped up a vocal just then. If you missed that, then definitely you'll be able to watch this live stream back again. You'll be able to watch that. I've done some teardowns of how I kind of make my tracks. I don't necessarily go into remaking it, but I kind of show all the different parts of the track. But yeah, it's exactly like I've just done on the live stream. I'll just take a vocal, I'll cut it up, and just play around with it until it fits. But I like working with audio, and that's one of the things I love about Ableton. Ableton's brilliant for that. Tube asks, what did you do before full-time producing? I've been full-time. Well, no, I'm not. I mean, I do a whole load of different things. I was a web designer for a while. I do a lot of design. I do a lot of video work. I'm a creative person, so I kind of like to keep my hand in everything, which is why I kind of, I kind of do a bit of everything. And that's kind of why it kind of leads into everything. When you're a music producer, having all those skills, I think it's important to have all those skills, because you'll need to do your own videos for your own promo. You need to do your own artwork. You need to do your own socials and stuff. So the more kind of skills you have, the better you are. And I think a lot of producers have other skills in the digital realm. So they will be designers. They'll be web designers. They'll be a whole load of different things. My main kind of thing is obviously is producing tracks, but also now teaching and stuff, because I have been doing it for like 20 years. So I kind of do a lot of teaching, and I kind of do these courses and things like that. So yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just spending loads of time on it. You can make that jump whenever you want to. And I can't remember which video I watched recently. I watched an interview with another producer. I can't remember what the producer, who it was. It's quite a well-known one, but he still has a part-time job as well, or another job, another kind of thing that he does. And he kind of described it as the fact that you kind of need something away from music as well. You need something that takes you out of music and doing something else. Sometimes it's just to pay the bills, but it actually kind of helps you reset you, which is why I kind of like doing other stuff, because when I come back to the studio, then it's kind of good. I kind of feel more inspired when I hit studio. And plus, I love doing this tutoring stuff. I love kind of really hopefully inspiring people by making stuff and going through all that kind of stuff. So anyway, enough chatting, enough waffling. So I make another track. Let's go into another track. We're an hour and a half into the stream. How long should we go for? Is anybody getting bored yet? Is anybody tuning out? We've got, still 19 people tuned in, which is quite cool. I'm quite glad that anybody's turned up for this, to be honest. I never quite thought anybody would kind of turn up. I'm glad that people are getting something from it. And hopefully everybody's watching on the replay as well. So it'll always be here, and I'll probably do it again as well. Right, so let's do something else. I'm going to go jump into my likes folder on Splice, because I want to, that new sample pack, this Drunken Kong sample pack sounded cool. Has my mic gone up in volume or something? Is it still working? Yeah, it's still working, okay. For some reason then I could really hear it like in my ears kind of thing. Weird. Anyway, let's have a look through the sample pack, because this sample pack looked really cool. Oh, not for that, for the vocals. The vocals were quite cool. It's quite cool. I think the reason I like this is because it sounds what I would probably do with my vocals. So it's kind of weird. I mean, I could take one of this stuff, but it's kind of like the same kind of thing I do with my vocals. I tend to cut them up and kind of loop them and stuff like that. So. Oh, I like that. Let's make something rave inspired. Let's do that. I'm going to take that. Make something quite rave inspired. Well, not rave inspired, but you know what I mean. It's kind of that kind of ravey kind of vocal. Let's close down some of these audio tracks. I made this template and I suddenly realized I've got no space to just drop other stuff on, so I might have to tweak this template a little bit. Right, so where's Splice app? Samples, let's get this in. I might chop this up a little bit later, but I'm actually just using it for inspiration for the moment. Right. Next up, let's get. I'll tell you what. Let's go for the absolute classic dance piano. Let's go for the Korg M1. I still maintain this is one of the best buys if you're making this my kind of music anyway. Like if you're making classic house or anything else like you want that kind of classic '90s sound. This Korg M1 synth is awesome. I know some people who actually have the physical Korg M1 and they still prefer just to use the VST because the old one's just such a pain to use. I'm going to go for a piano. For some reason, it's going on with my MIDI. Fix my MIDI in a second. Let's just pick one of the patches from here for now. Why is my MIDI not working? MIDI's coming in. Oh, it's because I haven't dropped it on the track. What track did I just drop it on? Sure, I just dropped that in somewhere, didn't I? Anyway, I'll probably find it a bit later. Right, piano. This one's quite good. It's the Velo piano preset. There's a few within here that work quite well. To be honest, I think it's exactly the same patch anyway. I'm going to use that. Now, what I could do is I could actually use the chord. I've got chords on this device actually. Let's make some old school. That's proper old school. I don't even know what chord that is. That's just a minor chord. That's all it is. This is one thing I do actually really love. Oh no, how do I get out of this? I've messed it up. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I've totally messed this up. Should I just turn it off and turn it back on again? It's funny, isn't it? Just turn it back off and turn it back on again. Yeah, I love this squid unit because it just gives me so many ideas. You probably not be able to see it. I'm going to do a better video on this because I need the camera set up a little bit better on this. But you have all the pads here, the main pads here, and then you have this harmonizer strip down the bottom here. And if you hold down one of these, it actually plays chords. So if I put it, hold that down. I don't even know what these chords are though. So you got a 7th and a minor, minor 7th, major 7th. So you got all the chords within there, and it's great. It's really good fun to kind of play around with. But I'm not going to do that today because I want to kind of show you obviously stuff that you have. It's going to be easier, isn't it? So right. So I'm going to drop a chord device on here. Let's drop a chord device on here. MIDI. Chord device. I'm going to make a minor chord, maybe. 3, 7. Do let's do a bass note as well. And let's actually build it. I'm going to build it up again. I'm going to put a minor 7th. Do a minor 7th. That would be quite cool. I don't know what I'm doing here, actually, to be honest. Oh, I dropped it on the crash channel. That'd be why I couldn't. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of working. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this, to be honest. I'm just making something that's a bit more kind of ravey. Should I play it in? Let's play it in. Sounding bad, isn't it? It can already sound like this is not going to be an idea that I'm going to use. But I'm just playing around. Sometimes you just have to kind of do ideas and then just... Yeah, you just have to kind of make an idea so that you can then put it behind you. Oh, it's my piano playing is just terrible. It's all over the place. Look at it. Absolutely terrible. Oh, I've really got to alter all these notes. Actually, I'm just going to copy them. I should have just put them in. Would have been a whole lot easier. Velocities are all over the place. Let's make them all the same. Let's put a kick in there. Everything sounds better with a kick. Oh, let's put a big thump in. Oh yeah, there we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Take the keys down. Sorry about that. I just suddenly realised I left it on the big screen, didn't I? You're all going to be shouting at me now, aren't you? Oh, sorry. You didn't see any of that, did you? Sorry. I keep getting you. I tell you, I'm trying to get used to all these multiple camera angles rather than actually just the one camera angle. Sorry. Anyway. Let's get some real old school drum. Not old school. She gets old. Oh yeah, I said she gets some old school. I'll tell you one pack that I really love at the moment, and a guy that's completely on fire is Mad Villains. He's just insane, and I love his sample pack's really cool. I haven't used it as much as I thought I would do when I first downloaded it, but the sounds in it are so unique. I love the clap in that. I'm sure that is actually just a 909 clap, actually. Yeah, maybe pitched up a little bit, but I'm lazy and I'm just going to use that. Again, I'm going to zoom in on this. Just get the clap. Just want the clap. That's all I want. Just the clap. Oh, there's a little bit of a hat. Let's get rid of the hat. I'm going to get the 909 in here actually. Oh, I say I've already got the 909 in here anyway, which I just love using. It's the 909 Classic kit from Ableton. Might actually use the hi-hats from this actually. Create a new MIDI clip, drag it out. Where's my open hat? Put the open hat in there first. Oh, proper old school. Oh yeah. Groove. Need some groove in there. I'm going to use the, not as groovy as I usually go, maybe a 55, 56 maybe. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to put some random kind of hi-hats on here, just to kind of, some 16ths. Give it a little bit of swing. Way too long. I'm going to shorten down those closed hi-hats, I think. Controls. I can never remember where these things are. What am I doing? I forgot what I'm doing. Oh, sustain. I'll shorten that open as well. Just shortening that closed and open hi-hat just so it's got a bit more attack. Now it's like a proper breakbeat kind of thing going on, don't you think? Something like that. Breakbeat. Let's go for some breakbeat, I think. So browse. Let's go to browse. Again, I'm heading straight for splice because it's just so easy to jump into here. And also, like, if you want to just produce another genre, you can just jump into here and get all the samples that you want to. Sometimes I kind of like doing that just to have some fun. Sometimes you just need to get out the stuff that you're doing and just really, yeah. How's everybody doing on the live stream? Mad Villains, yeah. Mad Villains is just a wicked producer. I love his tracks. I've been playing them for ages, and yeah, his sample pack is just awesome. He's just such a good producer. I don't even say underrated because he is rated. He's a great producer. But it's just, his sound is so cool. I love his sound. But yeah, if you haven't got it yet, that sample pack is awesome. It's on Splice, and I think it's on a few other places. But I downloaded the whole thing. I was like, yeah, as soon as I saw it come on Splice, I was like, yeah, I'm having that whole pack. Don't care. I'm just gonna have it all. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna get some breakbeat, I think. I want a breakbeat. Kind of what I want. I want a kind of two-step breakbeat, but let's go to popular maybe. Maybe if I look for BPM, I'm going to look for BPM maybe. I want a breakbeat that's going to be about housey kind of speed. And I'm going to take all the kind of bottom end out. So I've just got the breakbeat element. Let's get to about there. Oh, instruments, drums. That would help, wouldn't it? Oh, that might work. Try that. I think I've actually got this pack. Is this the rave? No. Yeah, old school rave pack. I'm sure I've got this pack. Rave. Ah, just seen. Does it stop? Oh no. This. I'll tell you what. I don't know why it's done. I'll tell you what. It's weird because it's like it's the second hour and it's almost on the hour. It's stopped again, which is really weird. I need to figure this out. So we've only been gone maybe couple of minutes. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to this stuff. I don't know why it keeps falling out. Very strange. I need to keep an eye on it so I know when I'm streaming and when I'm not. Right. Anyway, where did you see up to? Did I actually describe it? Well, I was going on about the Neutron 3. Did anybody see the Neutron 3 stuff? So yeah, I put Neutron 3 on here. I've run it through the mix system. In fact, let's run it through again because you might not have seen it. So I'm going to take Neutron 3 off of this bass channel. So we've got the bass channel here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Isotope Neutron 3. So if you've not seen Neutron 3 before, it's basically this kind of suite of plugins all pushed together. It's meant for kind of improving instruments and things like that. So it's got an EQ in there, it's got a compressor in there, it's got an exciter in there. It's got a whole bunch of different features that it kind of enhances instruments. And I've always used it quite a bit actually, especially on bass, vocals and keys. Usually those are the kind of instruments that I usually kind of struggle sometimes to kind of get the right EQ on and try and get that working right. So I tend to use the mix assistant on this to kind of really kind of nail those down. So what the mix assistant does is it kind of listens to the sound that's coming in and it makes suggestions as to how to tweak that mix. So I've got the bass playing through here, and what I can do is I can go to mix assistant within here. First of all, it asks about track, enhance, and balance. I'm not going to get into balance because that's a whole separate thing. So I'll click next on this, and then it's asking me for what instrument it is. So I'm looking for a bass. Got sub bass and deep bass within here. I'm going to choose sub bass because this is definitely a siny kind of sub bassy kind of sound. And then it says, what kind of style and what kind of intensity. Now I don't want it to I want it to sit in the background, so I'm just going to keep it as balanced and medium, I think. You can go through these and try different settings on this. Sometimes it works better. If you want the bass to really stand out, then you kind of put it on up front. And if it's a really kind of strong bass sound, you could put it on high intensity, for example. I'm going to keep it right down the middle for now, just as an example. Let's play it back. So it's gone through there now, and it's kind of set up this Neutron to be, it's like a whole load of things within here. We've got this sculptor, which no matter how much I've kind of looked at it, I still can't describe it to people. It kind of almost, you set the instrument and it kind of enhances certain aspects of that instrument. So depending on which instrument you set it as, it kind of has, it's almost like a smart EQ or something, and it kind of enhances certain frequencies for certain instruments. I don't know. It's a whole load of presets, I think, basically. And that kind of adds a little bit more to it. The equalizer actually goes through and it's kind of detected some peaks in here that it's kind of fixing, and it's got some boosts in here and stuff. The exciter, again, if you've been producing, you know what an exciter, and there's got a couple of compressors in there as well. Generally, I kind of use this for the EQ. The EQ I really kind of use, and I don't tend to tweak much else within here. So like when I'm kind of going through and using Neutron, I run the mix assistant and then I kind of disable stuff and enable stuff to see which sounds better. So with this, I'll kind of have a look and see whether the exciter sounds better being on or off. So the exciter kind of, you're gonna really struggle to hear this if you're hearing this on computer speakers or anything other than headphones in a studio. But it's kind of really, it's adding a little bit of shimmer to it. Is that a word? Is that the word for it? I don't know. It's kind of like an excitement to it, a little bit of kind of edge to it almost. And to be honest, because it's going behind the keys, I don't want it to have that. And then we got the compressors on here. I don't know whether these are doing much. I can't really hear them doing much at all, so I'm just going to leave them on for now. And then the EQ is obviously doing the cuts that I need it to. And to be honest, it's sounding pretty good already, so I'm not going to tweak too much. In fact, what I will do is I'll put in a low cut, I think. Yeah, just to get rid of some of that bottom end. That sounds about right. I've cut up to about 80 hertz, something like that. I think that's going to work okay. I generally just cut out as much as I can get away with. So as much as it kind of, before it starts affecting the sound, because that's more kind of bass energy I'm then saving on other stuff. And actually, I'm getting way too in kind of EQing stuff. I'm in idea phase at the moment, so I really don't want to kind of focus too much on all that stuff. I'll come back to that a bit later. But when you've got a bass like this, you can't really hear it properly until you've kind of EQ'd it a little bit at least. I mean, obviously that idea was a lot quicker. When did I start that? That was about 1:30, about 40 minutes on that idea. And to be honest, I don't want to push this too much more because, yeah, I'm not quite sure I want to push this idea anymore, because I think if I push it anymore now, I'm going to lose objectivity, and I'm not quite sure whether I absolutely love it. So maybe when I come back to it another day, I'll know whether to trash it or whether to keep it. So I don't know at this stage, but yeah, I'm just gonna save that off, and we'll call that let's call it Ravey Good Time. I'll tell you what, I have a good fun trying to name tracks, because when you're saving a project, especially, and you don't have a vocal on it or anything else like that yet, or you don't have a hook or anything else like that, how on earth do you come up with a name for a track? You're trying to describe a track in some way. And I'd love to know if there is, if you do have a system for, if anybody has a system for naming stuff, like a way of being able to do that officially, like to be able to go and just say, yes, that track is going to be called that because of this. I always just do it whenever I have a vocal sample in, and I'll just name it after the vocal sample. And in this case, there's not really much to go on, so I just call it, yeah, whatever comes to mind. Usually I'm kind of scouting around the room trying to find something with something written on it and then just call it that. The amount of tracks I've called Mackie Big Nog before, it's crazy. Anyway, let's go back to the chat, see what's going on. Why do I cut the low end so much? I cut the low end because I just cut the low end as much as I can get away with, basically. So if I find that I can cut some more out and it doesn't affect the sound, so maybe if it starts affecting the sound and it doesn't sound good, then I'll back off of it. But if I can get away with cutting more and more without it actually kind of really affecting the sound so I can hear it a bit better, then I will cut more out of it. Because when it comes to mastering and you're compressing at the end and you're limiting at the end, you've actually got, by not having as much down on the bass end, you're kind of giving yourself more volume. So you'll notice that if you export a track with a big subby bass end and you try and limit it, you'll get it up to a certain volume, but a track that has not got as much bass in it will actually probably sound louder to you. It's just one of those things. I tend to just cut that bottom end out just to give me that extra bit of volume or that extra kind of cleanness almost. But yeah, I probably would tweak that afterwards. This is just the idea phase, so I might come back a bit later and then chop a little bit less off. So I think I'll cut this live stream here because it's been just over 2 hours, and I thought I'd just kind of do this as a test one to see how it went, really. See if anybody enjoyed the live stream and if anybody got anything out of it. I didn't really have any kind of plan for this. It was just kind of put the cameras on and do some producing and come up with some ideas and, and just see what people think. So I'm glad you managed to tune in, and sorry for like any kind of interruptions and technical difficulties. Still trying to figure that one out. I need something on here that kind of warns me when the stream drops or something happens. I think it's something within the software, actually. I don't know, but I'll have to have a look at that. But yeah, hopefully this has been useful to you. And if it has, then yeah, I'll definitely do another one. Let me know in the comments, what you think to this. I'll put links in the description to all the plugins that I use, to my course that I was going on about earlier, and a whole load of other stuff that's all going to be in the description below, so definitely check that out. And yeah, just let me know what you think of this stream. Leave your comments, and hopefully I'll see you again very soon.